welcome back to another exciting episode of the Valkyrie podcast. I'm your host, Angel of Battle 07, and today I have a very, very special guest sitting in the hot seat, Mr. Josh / Kieebeats. Josh, how you doing, buddy? Welcome in.
I'm doing good. I mean, I'm in call with you right now. I mean, can't get much better than that.
You know, I wouldn't want to spend my Sunday any better. You know, there's not another way.
I mean, we're usually doing this anyway at this point, so
we figured, you know, might as well pull you aside. Let's spend an hour. We'll do the podcast so that we can get an episode out to the people. I know they've been waiting, and I apologize. I've been working very hard here lately, plus with casting and everything. But we wanted to step aside and get an episode out for you guys. But before we continue, we do want to give a special shout out to one of our partners, our sponsors, our partners, our good buddies over at GamerSubs, who did just drop their brand new waifu cup out, just available today. So make sure you guys head on over to gamersubs.gg. Make sure you get you a copy, man, I am struggling today. Make sure you guys get yourself a cup. Use code Valkyrie at the checkout so you guys can get 10% off your entire order. Or you can go check out, you know, a brand new flavor like Kaho's Guilty Pleasure, which is my personal favorite. What about you? Which one's your favorite?
Oh man, I've always been pretty partial to the strawberry daiquiri.
Yeah, oh, dude, I got that like literally right. All my GamerSub stuff is literally almost at arm's reach over here.
I wish there was a non-caffeinated version of that, or not. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. But yeah, we love those guys, man. We have such a great partnership. I mean, besides like a business relationship, we have just great relationships with those guys over GamerSub. So thank you guys so much for sponsoring us and being a good partner. But as far as the podcast goes, obviously, you've probably seen a couple of these episodes before. You know, I always like that. The first question I typically ask people is, obviously, with us being in an esports organization, dealing with gaming and stuff like that, where did you get your start in gaming? Like, what was your first kind of experience with them, and what got you hooked on them?
I feel like mine's probably really similar to Mitch respects. We grew up kind of playing like the same thing. We had to take turns with timers and everything. Our parents were real strict about that. So started off with actually through the vast majority of our childhood was PlayStation. We had like a really old like dinosaur of a PC, but there was very few things that we played on that. So started off with PS1 was the main thing that we played. Probably part of the reason why I have such a positive affinity for Spider-Man. We had this PS1 game that I know he talked about on his podcast, that I think of so fondly. Yeah, PlayStation for the majority of our childhood, definitely a PS guy. I think I know when the Xbox One came out, we had gotten that because Mitch wanted to stay on the same platform as competitive COD. But other than that, like, I was very much a PlayStation fanboy, and all the PlayStation titles and stuff were very near and dear to my heart. So
now, obviously, for those that may not know, you are actually related to Mr. Mitch or Spectral, as you said. If you want to kind of go into detail, if you want to claim him as a family, then you can go ahead.
I mean, it depends on what day it is, you know, what Mitch we're getting, depending on whether or not I claim him or not. But yeah, you know, we're pretty close. Growing up, I think we are more close than our younger brother was, just because of the age gap, and we had a lot of similar interests. He's right over there, I think, screaming at some games, so hopefully he doesn't get picked up by that. But yeah, we've always been pretty close. A lot of the things that I'm interested in now can be tied to a lot of the things that he was interested growing up as well. So
I got you. And for those of you that may not know, or I guess for the people that watching that may not know what you do for the organization, why don't you go ahead and go into detail? Obviously we've got a little nameplate up here that says what you kind of do for the org and everything like that, but I want you to kind of go into detail because no one knows your job better than you. That way you can explain it.
So I have the title of GFX. I am a Valkyrie GFX, or whatever it is up there. So basically, what I do is I make graphics that extends from as far as ads to game characters to things we use for posts. I work with Mitch and like crafting ideas for like future events, stuff that we're gonna use. We've talked a little bit about clothing line stuff. I haven't done a ton of that yet, but mostly because I'm really busy with school. I'm in art school, so I'm always doing art anyway. So like when it comes to coming home, I'm usually like, maybe I don't want to do that right now. So yeah.
I got you. I got you. Obviously, you know, with being brothers with Mitch, who you came in to be part owner with Zach of Valk and everything like that. Did you like immediately join the org with Mitch, or did Mitch kind of bring you on kind of like after the fact?
I think there was a decent amount of time. I think I started hanging out with the Valk guys around the same time as Mitch, maybe like a week or two after. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're playing such and such with these guys. They're pretty cool." And I hung out with them just normally for, I don't know, maybe like a month or so, just kind of hanging out, getting to know each other, making some friends. And then I think I'm gonna tie back to this. I remember watching the podcast you did with Mitch, and he wasn't quite on there with how I joined Valk.
Oh.
I think he said something to the fact of like like I was seeing like what he was doing in Valk, and I wanted to find a purpose or like a place to put my design talent to work in. And that was a small part of that. But the main thing I can't remember if they were a content creator or what tie they had to Valkyrie, but I know we had a member by the name of Shark, and I wasn't affiliated with Valk at that time, but I remember he was looking for a logo, and at the time that was like the thing that I did, whether it be, you know, whatever type of logos. And so I just hit him up on Discord and was talking to him about it, made him the logo, and I remember he like posted it in the Discord. He's like, "Yo, look at this sick logo that Kieebeats made me," and everyone's like, "Holy shit!" And then I think Mitch was talking about graphic stuff at some point with Zach or somebody in there. And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm already kind of part of Valkyrie. You know, I already made some graphics, so you know, I might as well hop in the fold."
Gotcha. And I mean, you and Mitch do some crazy things. I don't know if Zach, he edits this, by the way, everyone, if you're listening, if he could put like maybe like a quick cut of like some of the things that you've designed. But dude, like especially here recently, some of the kind of the revamp stuff you guys have been doing for like match day or match results, kind of logos and stuff like that have been phenomenal. I mean, I've been a fanboy since day one, but when you guys like debuted the new stuff, I was like salivating. I was like, "Oh my god!" Especially how you guys are formatting it to kind of fit longer on Twitter, so it's a little bit more visually pleasing. Right. Plus, you stay on the ad, or not the ad. Plus, you stay on the post a little bit longer. Or if you're on mobile, it hits mobile so much more as well.
It's a lot easier to catch the eye if you know how it's formatted. So we're definitely catching more into that. I'm really excited for where we're going with a lot of the branding in everything, but along with the digital stuff that's going for posts and for social media. I'd like to. I'm going to graduate here soon, so hopefully in the relatively near future, I'll be able to implement more on my end of things. So.
Gotcha. That'd be cool, man. I'm excited. How much you got? What, like 1 semester or 2 semesters left?
Yeah, after this semester, I'll have one more after that. So.
Gotcha. So like summer, you'll graduate.
Yeah, the spring semester.
Gotcha. Sweet, man. That's gonna be exciting. I know we're all pulling for you. Can't wait to see what comes out in the future for you. I bet, dude. I bet. I really wish I could have finished school I'm not going to get too far into that because it's a hate story. There's a
Oh, I
reason
feel you.
I can't
I feel
stand
you.
the VA. I loved school. Don't get me wrong. I loved school. I was mistreated by the VA. But like I said, that's a story
Yeah.
for another time. If I ever podcast myself, hey Angel, why? No, anyway.
We'll talk about it after podcast.
Yeah.
Just meet you one on one.
But to kind of circle back, obviously, kind of where it all started as far as esports or gaming, obviously with the Xbox and stuff like that. Were you ever into competitive esports as far as like yourself playing, or just more as like an observer?
I know when Mitch was first getting into like doing the competitive stuff, he was really into going to like wanting to go to LANs and like he wanted to make like a possible career out of it. And I had done like GBs and stuff with him on COD back when I used to play that. But not so much in the competitive scene. Gaming's been more of just like a release for me for the most part. I think the closest that I'd been to going or wanting to go into something more serious was when I started getting into Smite, which is my first MOBA. And it was kind of like a weird thing. I know Mitch always made fun of me because those MOBAs are usually given that title of like the nerdy games.
Yeah.
So when I started getting into that, and he didn't play. He played occasionally with me, but that was something that I like. Something clicked, and after I started playing for him, I'm like, I'm actually pretty good at this. I thought about it, but I was like, nah. At that point, I think I was pretty close to graduating high school, and I'm like, nah. I'm gonna go to college, so don't worry about it.
Gotcha. Okay, so nothing as far as like shooters and stuff. I mean, obviously we've played Fortnite together, so you're still pretty good at shooters and everything like that. But like your niche is a little bit different than what someone would kind of expect from an esports quote unquote organ. Oh, I say quote unquote like esports org. Everyone, most of our teams that we field, obviously Apex and Valorant, are kind of based around shooters and stuff like that. So I get it.
That's definitely shooters are definitely one of those things that like I really enjoy watching. I'm not so much like I wouldn't want to play competitively because I would just get pissed off.
You're
one of those things that like you're talking to
one of the kings of rage, man. Okay. Like I like to tell Tricky at the end of the day, oh, it's just all the show. I'm just trying to entertain people when I rage. It's real.
Deep
Okay.
down, you really know what you're feeling.
It's real rage. All right. If you ever had a question, ladies and gentlemen, it's authentic rage. There's a reason I have dents in my desk.
You heard it here.
So I guess one of the other things I was going to talk about, and something I always like to bring up with people, just because it's nostalgic for me, is to kind of see if you had to put some of your favorite games kind of in a ranking standpoint, right? I want to hear what would be your like top 5 probably favorite games, because this helps the audience and myself kind of figure out like who you are as a person too. Kind of when people try to get their favorite games in.
So of all time,
yeah, let's do all time, and then if we need to like break it down as far as like shooters, MOBAs, or something like that, we can do that too. If you're having too hard of a struggle,
it's a top 5.
Yeah, we'll do just to keep it interesting.
Definitely have to put the Sly Cooper series up there. That's has been and will continue to be one of my favorite game series of all time.
I think Mitch put that in his top 5 too.
I think so, yeah. I've always been well, actually, hold on, I gotta stop myself there. I have to put Minecraft up there. There was a period of my time, I don't even know how many years, actually when I started doing graphics, like when I was first teaching myself how to do graphics, I was doing like Minecraft stuff for like Minecraft YouTubers and stuff like that, because that's something I did myself. I was a Minecraft YouTuber. I thought it was so cool. So that's definitely something I had to put up there. I spent an unholy amount of time playing, mini games, survival games, and I built on servers for quite some time too. So that's definitely up there. The Last of Us, definitely one of my top 5s, just because, I mean, zombies. Having played COD for a lot of my childhood, that's something that's big I love story games, adventure games, survival games, so that's up there. It wasn't until like 4-ish years ago, I think, that I discovered The Witcher 3. One of my, it's one of those games that I could like play over and over again and not get bored of it.
Yeah.
And then 5.
This is always the hardest because you don't want to like shun any game, but
yeah. You want to like create like this divide between games that you love. Crap, man. Number 5.
Foot lettuce is not something you'd expect in your burger.
Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you expect to find in your Burger King burger. Let's go with that's hard,
right? I was just getting ready to say, ladies and gentlemen, he's not frozen. He's just
it's funny. It's funny because I knew I've known we've been like planning this podcast for a hot minute. I knew that was a question you would ask before, and I had a list. I had a top 5 at some point. I can't for the life of me think of what the 5th one was now. Ultimate Spider-Man, I think it was called.
There you go.
It was a PlayStation 2 game. I love that game.
Is that the one I keep seeing the meme all over like TikTok and stuff, and it's like where he fails and then the woman's like, I'm going to die. And then like the bomb explodes.
I've seen that one.
Oh my god, yeah. So it's like one of those like reaction kind of events where you have to like press the buttons before the timer expires, and it just successfully complete the event. And like if you just don't do anything and let him fail, he like lands on his face. Spider-Man just and the lady just looked.
I don't know how I've never seen.
Because I'm going to die. Boom! And the
that's awesome.
Oh my!
So
go ahead.
Was it like graphic wise? Was it like a realistic type thing, or was it?
It was definitely like PlayStation era.
Okay.
Like the boxy like square.
Oh,
like
so like old school.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
That might have been like one of the Spider-Man movie games then.
It could have been, or honestly, it could have been fake. Like it could 100% be fake. I don't trust anything nowadays. I'm actually gonna look it up real quick. Hold on.
Dude, I literally send it to me right now. I want to watch it now.
Spider-Man. Where is this from? Spider-Man 3.
Okay,
apparently,
the video game. I don't think I played the third one.
Video game Spider-Man 3. Yep. Okay, so it's real. Okay, I feel better now. Because I really thought, like, as we were talking about it, I was like, I kind of feel like this might be fake now that I'm talking.
Maybe I'm just spewing nonsense and no one's going to know what I'm talking about.
See, ladies and gentlemen, it's a trusted news source. We actually go get the facts for you. We're not going to...
We go to the source.
Yeah, we're not going to give you any lie. We find out the true answers. I don't think I played 3, but I think I did play, like, the original Spider-Man movie, like, Spider-Man for PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I don't think I'll ever get the pizza song out of my head as you delivered pizzas throughout the city.
Dude. Oh. But,
oh man,
I always wondered where the webs went too.
Yeah, they just through the sky.
You could be out in the middle of like Central Park, like out in the field, and you're like,
yeah.
What are you attaching to there?
We never like questioned it like as kids though, where it's just like, yeah,
Spider-Man, makes sense, right?
This is how it works.
Dude, imagine having to clean up though.
Well, the one I'm gonna get real nerdy on here.
Oh, okay.
The one thing about Spider-Man, at least in the ones where he makes his own webs, the web is designed to dissolve after 2 hours.
Okay.
So
this is like comic.
I believe so.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, canonically, I think I said that right. Canonically, by the comic books, like he did make his own. It wasn't. It wasn't. Tobey Maguire. He gets bit and he just magically to the wrist, right?
I do think afterwards, like after those movies like had come out, I think they did do a storyline where like I don't remember how it happened, but he did get organic webbing for a time.
Gotcha. Okay. But at least the web doesn't come from like where a spider's web actually comes
Right.
from, because then that'd be a whole different rated movie series.
It's all along that same vibe of Ant-Man going up Thanos' ass and then expanding.
Oh my god, dude! So many people got so mad when that didn't happen that way, including Paul Rudd.
I think they genuinely expected it to happen because there was so much hype around it.
I mean, it's not the first time we've seen like the public change a movie.
Right.
I mean, you remember when
it's not the same line as the Sonic movie. Like they're not going to bully the company into.
But I think that was an example of like when it was done right, though. You know.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, when it first came out, everyone was kind of like, "What is that?"
It was awful.
And then it turned out to be real. I still haven't seen the movie, but the trailer with the new drawn out Sonic was amazing.
Yeah.
Like my inner kid who played Sega and played like Sonic, the original Sega Sonic, and it was just like, oh yeah, that's
it was really disappointing. But you know, they made it right.
Thank God they did. Hopefully they'll keep Jim Carrey alive.
I think they made a second one too.
Yeah, they did. I think Jim Carrey's doing like one more, I think, and then he's like retiring from acting.
Like from acting?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. When that came out, I was like, no,
because he's getting kind of old.
Yeah. Well, I think his thing was like he's done enough. He's like, unless there's a role that really talks to him and that he wants to portray,
right,
and bring life to, he said it's just not worth it because and I can respect that. You know, I can respect that. Is that way he lives some life, not acting and doing the things that he wants to do. So I can respect that as well.
Kind of like that can be very, very time consuming career.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like these football players, like Luke Kuechly. I don't know if you know anything about that.
I know of him.
Yeah. Well, you know, he retired very early. You know, he's very wealthy and everything like that. Set aside the money and is financially stable, and then retired very early from football because he wants his health and wants to be able to live his life. And I was like, you know what, I can respect that as well. So,
yeah.
Me, I'm just gonna keep going till I break my back, but that's me. Oh man. Let's see what else on that topic of esports here. So we talked about your top 5 games, talked about Spider-Man and everything like that. What other things was I gonna say? I mean, obviously people know of you. People that are in the org obviously will know who you are. I mean, anyone that's watched my stream definitely knows who you are. Or even people that watch our D&D streams, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We are players of the Dungeons and Dragons. We do have a lot of fun there, and you came in and were set as a temporary character in the beginning, and now have become a permanent part of the story, which I knew all along you were going to become come on.
I see the way that it was structured originally. By the way, tie-in, great. The way it was worked out originally, at least the way that I saw it, was I talked with Drew, our DM, about like how I would go off, or you go off on my own, or like die or whatever. And the way I saw it was, once that happened, like I was gonna help him co-DM and like come up with like puzzles or whatever. So yeah, it was definitely a change of pace, and I've structured things a little differently now, but when it first came up that I was going to be a full time, I had to do some restructuring in Bridgen because of he was built to be a temporary character. So yeah, it's been a really fun experience to hanging out with you guys and doing all that. The RPing, I love roleplay. It's so much fun.
And it's really rare to find a group that can like slip in and out of RP as well as we do. I will say that because I've been a part of some D&D groups where like they're like combat heavy, and like that's all people focus on is combat.
They just want to get to the nitty gritty,
right? And like again, like that's enjoyable as well. But the way Drew does it and how he builds in the story as well as the combat, and really does, and he arcs everything in so well, also
just makes you feel so connected to it all.
Yeah, and it just makes that much better. Like the experience is so good because it's not just character, combat, story over, right?
Yeah.
I feel
It feels
everyone,
blended.
yeah, I feel that everyone is really starting to connect with their characters. And
Yeah.
that, when you can do that, magic starts to happen as far as storyline goes. I mean, we've already had some like emotional moments in the campaign as well. And like in the future, I feel like there's going to be some big time moments as well
Oh yeah.
that are just going to like shatter the entire story. We're just going to be like, even like the last session, the hook and everything like that was just amazing.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and from a viewer perspective, because I did watch your guys' campaign for quite a bit. I think even just like in the process of the campaign that you've done so far, like I feel like people have grown into like being more comfortable both with their characters and with more of the role playing. Because like I remember when I first was starting watching, it was very much like, this is what we're doing. We're gonna go to the shop. We're gonna do this fight, and then it's gonna be done for the day.
Yeah.
But it definitely has evolved, which has been really awesome to see.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see where that campaign goes. If you guys are ever interested, pretty much every Friday or every other Friday is when we do our D&D campaigns. Just keep up with us on social media. We'll let you know when it's coming out as well. But with that being said, I mean, why don't you like, I'm very interested in where the inspiration for Bridgen came about. By the way, if you're wondering while you're watching this, who the hell is Bridgen that we're talking about? Bridgen is your character that you play in D&D. So where were the inspirations for Bridgen? Like, how did that character, because everyone has to have that inspiration when building a character. So where did the spark come from? And then like, tell me your thought process as you were making the character.
Well, as far as like the personality and who he is, I think I remember talking with Drew about this as we were building it together. I felt I was really conflicted back and forth as I was building, because like I had watched videos and I had seen I watched Critical Role and stuff like that a bit. So I had some like knowledge about the stereotypes of like first time players and stuff. I didn't want to be like too stereotypical, but at the same time like I had this like innate like desire to make like that character that is just like so deeply rooted in like the honorable knight type thing.
Yeah.
And I want as common as a thing as that is that I've seen, like it just felt so right.
Yeah.
And then as far as the name, Bridgen I took Briz, BRIS, from the name that I used for my like alternate like gamer tags, which is Kieebeats. And I just added the IAN at the end, so that was Bridgen. And then Clintarius comes from Clintar, which is the homeworld of the symbiotes from Spider-Man. So
okay, so a nice.
I wanted to implement a little bit of me in there.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Now, how did you come about the I always struggle with Aarakocra.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come about? Like, what settled you on that? Because that's an interesting race to play.
I went through a lot of races. Obviously, I started with human. I'm like, that's way too basic. I think that was like my like exception, where I was like, I had this stereotypical like holy honorable knight type thing, but I wanted to go a little farther. Didn't want to make him human. Didn't want to make him like too recognizable as like connected to like people. So I went through, there was a few different like animalistic races I had gone through. And I remember when I got to the Aarakocra, I was like, that gives like that brave, the American eagle, the brave tried and true vibe to it. So I was like, it just fit for me. So
I got you. Well, you have been a blast. You've been a great addition to the campaign, and especially like our characters have like grown a bond, especially from this last episode.
Everyone's getting a little upset that we have this secret, this bond between us that they are not included in on table.
And not to mention that, we're writing the Harry Potter series, but in our
Right.
times.
Virgin really wants to be Barry Cotter now, and it might become canon.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not, you really need to check us out whenever we play, because we come up with some crazy things. And again, I think it's all because people are getting comfortable now. I mean, even Randar or Phantom Blade, the Bard has gotten really comfortable with performing like actual live on stream, singing out loud, and everything and that takes a lot of nerve, man.
It does.
I remember the first. What?
I remember when I was still just watching as a viewer. I remember there was a part where I don't remember what exactly was happening, but he was doing a song, and they're like, "Oh, you should actually sing such and such," and he's like, "No, I don't want to do that." But now every time the opportunity comes on, we're like, "Well, we have we're all in this dining area, we could have some entertainment." And he's like, "Oh, I'll do it," which is awesome.
Yeah. So shout out to him, Phantom. If you're watching this, dude, you're awesome for that, man. Thank you so much for
awesome.
You're dropping your guard down, because I mean, it can be a scary moment, because the internet's a terrible place. People will cut people down just to do it because they think it's funny. But yeah, like I said, people are getting comfortable, and it's allowing us to kind of really free flow with ideas and creativity, and then come up with some great RP moments as well. So it's been a lot of fun. Have you always been interested? Have you always been interested in D&D, and then finally just kind of found this was your entry into it, or was it just kind of recently it sparked your interest once we started playing?
Actually, I was about to say something relatively the same before you were bringing that up. So I wasn't growing up. I was always given that vibe of D&D as the outcast, that they're really nerdy kids, don't play that or you're gonna get made fun of type of thing. And I had that kind of mindset going into it until I started. Obviously, I had become pretty good friends with you at that point when you started doing the campaign stuff. And I was watching. I was like, that could be really fun. And also, one thing that I had really loved not growing up, but my senior year of high school, I got really into theater. And I was doing, musicals and stuff like that. And that's something that to this day, I really miss. And just be able to enjoy that creativity and the acting type of I don't know. It's a freedom kind of feeling, to being able to taking a character and making it your own. And so when I saw you guys and I was watching, I'm like, oh, that actually a lot of fun. And it has just exponentially grown since then, as I've learned all the different elements that go into D&D and the campaigns and character creation and stuff like that. So
yeah, I really feel like it is a therapeutic kind of thing, because people that are a little bit more reserved when kind of conduiting through their character can say some things or act a certain way that they may not do in a real societal setting, because there's that fear of rejection,
being connected to your personality, and people tying that to you and being it gives you freedom to be something that you're not necessarily
right
on a general basis.
And then there's always that fear of, like I said, rejection, of people thinking of a certain way about you, or just fear of confrontation and stuff like that as well. Because some people that would obviously would want to stand up and say something, normally wouldn't, but now they're playing this this giant paladin that stands up for the people and the right things, and they're not afraid to say it, and it kind of helps them move that into real life as well. So the next time they come across that situation, they can kind of draw on that moment that they had in D&D, and then it makes them stronger in real life as well. So I mean, I'm a huge not component advocate for D&D, for people to play and get over that stigma. And I think that Critical Role has done such a great job of knocking that stigma down and showing how fun it can be for everyone. And obviously there's other programs out there like Celebrity D&D, the Acquisitions Incorporated guys, which is kind of where I got my start. And those guys, they have a lot of fun as well. And it's just when you get a good group of friends together and let their imaginations roll, there's nothing that can, there's anything can happen, and it makes for great moments. So, and that bonding really brings that group together as well.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, like there's, I don't think I would have gotten like close at all to Trip or to Phantom. You know, like I didn't really hang out with them before, but like that has definitely been a bonding experience. And I think along with the whole like the experience of D&D and how beneficial that is, I feel like it's kind of like the situation of like being asked to sing like in a crowd spontaneously versus like being in a musical or an opera or like a scheduled thing where it's like you are here to do this thing.
Yeah.
It gives that access to people that wouldn't do it otherwise, and it makes you, I don't know, it's like it's offering this safe place to do it, which is awesome.
so is there ever a world where we get a Kieebeats bard in the future?
That is definitely something I have considered. It was funny. I was you know this, but I was building an alternate character with Drew earlier today, and he had brought up, he's like, well, I mean, you could do this certain class of bard, and I'm like, I think I'll save that for a later date. But definitely something I want to do in the future.
And I think everyone that kind of has that either musical, not I would say musical background, but like has that like quirky background as well. I feel like the bard character is one that you can only kind of have one bard per party.
Yeah,
because then you're kind of like drawing off the same energy. Yeah,
because like even with like the characteristics, like with the individual character, like being a bard, you don't necessarily have to be, but like generally like the bard is like the entertainer. They're the person that's like, they have the spotlight when they choose to have it, and so to have two of them would be a little weird.
It could make for an interesting
dynamic. They work
together, right?
Or they do like a duets.
Yeah, or that could be like I said, a dynamic you could introduce as the DM and like introduce your own little bit of chaos here and there or something like that, and be like, well, they actually liked the other bard's performance better, and then they kind of turn them against each other.
Rivalry.
Yeah. Man, see, we need to DM now.
Having have like two bards like having like an intense like violin duel, like that'd be fun.
Oh my goodness. And Drew, last night, so we were watching the Worlds for League of Legends last night, and we were kind of commenting, you, myself, and Drew, about DMing and how you would have interest in DMing as well. And I've done it before, but I was very like noob at it. I mean, didn't really have a lot of tools to work with. I watched hours and hours of Acquisitions Incorporated, which Chris Perkins is probably one of the best to learn from, besides Matt Mercer and I can't think of his name, Brendan Lee Mulligan. Probably my top three as far as DMs go.
Oh yeah.
And we'll throw Drew in there as top four.
I haven't seen the first one that you mentioned, but I've seen Brandon and Matt.
So Chris Perkins he actually works for Wizards of the Coast. He's actually one of the guys that like came up with Dungeons and Dragons.
Gotcha.
So like he works on a lot of the source material as far as the DM guide, the monsters guide, and stuff like that. So I mean, if anybody else is gonna know that game, it's gonna be Chris Perkins. And so he has a similar style as Matt Mercer and Brendan Lee Mulligan as well, as far as that really being able to explain the moment and really capture your imagination and put you in that moment, as well as tying in characters and being able to fly off the cuff as well when moments are needed. And it makes, dude, it's so entertaining as well.
Yeah, and I feel like part of that is like Drew's mentioned before, like it's the improv and like understanding like how to make a good story. But I think part of what is something that like I would be hesitant to get into DMing for is I feel like having a lot of knowledge on D&D and the books and the information is really helpful.
Yeah, 100%, because then you can introduce encounters around your players.
Right.
So you can, if you just keep throwing goblins at players, eventually they're going to get too strong for it, or it's going to become redundant and repetitive. So then you can build encounters around, somebody that may be very sneaky, introducing monsters that cannot be surprised. And now you've taken away that element that normally you would lead off with, and now the party has to think of a new way to get around things, which I love as a player, because then it challenges you to kind of rethink your strategy. Because just like with video games, when you get to a point where you're so powerful and you're just like wiping stuff, it starts to be not fun because there's no challenge. So then when you finally hit like a poison resistant creature, or like in Grounded, you're like, oh crap, now I got to rethink how to do this. So
I got to start all over again.
Exactly, and it brings that freshness to everything. So.
Yeah.
It definitely having knowledge about the monster guide and everything like that, or even just kind of homebrewing your own monster, is very challenging as well, but can be very rewarding.
See, I feel like if I were to get into DMing, that would be like my kryptonite. I would be like wanting to make everything custom, and I would just spend endless hours creating all this stuff just for it to get killed in like 5 minutes.
And that's one of the pains of being a DM, and you think of this huge plot hook, your big bad evil guy gets introduced in like the first session, and your players figure it out and kill him, and then you're like,
nothing is sacred.
Like hours of planning, and you've ruined it. And I feel bad, dude. That we are having like a in-home, like actual live campaign of the Curse of Strahd. Myself, Tricky, Sick, Kelly, or Death is Finn, for those of you that are in the Discord, and then Drew's DMing it. And literally one of the like end of chapter boss fights, right? Like mini boss fight, we literally one shot. And you can just see
the life drain
you just
out of him.
See everything come out of Drew, like, okay,
damn
it. Like he's proud of us, but then again, like he spent a lot of time preparing that and being able to get the voices right, the mood, the even the music, everything. And like we released this like lion, which pinned her down, and then Tricky like one shot her with her bow, and we were like, oh no.
We can do it again if you want.
Yeah,
we can reset.
Yeah, it never happened, right? It never happened. But then that kind of scares you, because now the next encounter you have is going to be that much tougher, because you've proven yourself, and he's like, okay, well now we'll just take off the training gloves, and then you get like a Tarask, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, wait.
And I feel like Drew's always been like a pretty fair DM.
Oh, 100%.
There's been times where like something will happen, or we'll be joking around, like having fun in situations like that, and Drew will say something around the fact of like, you think that's funny? All right, we'll see the next time. It's like, okay, I take it back. I'm sorry. don't make it too hard.
Oh man. All right. Man, people are gonna think that this is a D&D podcast all of a sudden, right? But I mean, honestly, I had the feeling it was going to be like a dominating part of it, just because we have so much fun. We spend a lot of time doing it. We talk about it as well. So honestly, if we want to talk about some gaming news, what about Worlds last night, dude? Oh my goodness.
That was a crazy game.
Holy cow. First of all, I didn't even realize what was going on. We were supposed to do Valorant 10 Mans last night, and it ended up being a watch party for the League Worlds. And what a series, bro. As someone that doesn't play the game, I was hooked the entire night, all 5 matches. Go ahead.
It's one of those things where like, if you're not really into it, it can be like confusing as to what's going on. But I feel like the casters did a good job of like,
flowers,
keeping you followed through.
And so. I know I mentioned it like 4 times last night. Like I know I heard myself, and everyone probably got annoyed with me. But being a caster, whenever you hear a caster that you kind of fawn over, it's special, because you kind of like idolize them. You're like, oh, I want to copy, not necessarily copy, but you want to get inspiration from their casting style, and it makes you want to be a better caster as well. And Flowers, I love his energy, and his knowledge of the game is just mind-boggling on how he's able to predict stuff and kind of analyze it. Like, I'm so jealous of people that can literally just see what's going on and keep up with the pace, and then analyze everything around it and kind of tell you what's going on. I'm so jealous. Like me, I'm a color guy through and through, or I'm a play-by-play guy through and through.
Yeah.
I build the exciting moments. Oh my God, this happened. But from a color point, being able to analyze, I'll always be.
It's impressive. You have to know a lot about the game.
I mean, even some of the casters I work with Counter-Strike, like Icy, relatively newer caster, but the brain behind him, like his ability to be able to analyze stuff is just insane. All In is another caster that I'm jealous. I'm jealous of, and I'm man enough to say that I'm jealous. All In, I idolize your casting. Anyway, I don't think he's gonna be watching this. Although Big and Tall Matt might like clip this now.
I could see it.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, it was such an amazing series. I mean, T1 kind of led off the way that everyone thought it was gonna go. Game 2, DRX kind of answered right back, and then T1 back as well. And then the last two games were just amazing. And I mean, honestly, I really felt like that was T1's games to lose. Yeah. As far as the very last, the game 5 was. I mean, the Baron steal, time and time again last night, that Varus being able to Baron steal over and over and over again, like should have sealed them a victory. But DRX, man, that last push, that last defense right there by the Nexus and able to turn the tide on that 4v1. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. It was like up until that point, it was like anyone's game. It was like back and forth, and forth.
And you could see it in the graph. Like the graph they kept showing as far as like the gold lead would just be like blue, red, and it was just back and forth, man.
Oh yeah.
And you got to feel for those players, especially on the T1 side. You know, obviously DRX they came away as the winner, so obviously they're going to be very happy. But you could see the emotion on the T1 side. You know, Faker didn't really show a lot, but I can't remember his name. I think it starts with an R. I can't remember.
I think it was the one that played Karma.
I think so.
I think it started with a K. Or no. I don't remember.
But dude, sobbing. And that's a very tough position to be in because you're in the middle of this stage, thousands of people chanting for you or booing you, and now you just lost worlds, and you've trained so hard for it. Like I feel my heart goes out.
Especially going in as like that top dog. Where like, everyone was rooting for you. Everybody knew that you were.
They said Thursday there was like a 70-30 in favor of T1, and then like last night it was like 55-45. Like it was close. But yeah, just huge shout out to DRX, man. The nerve, like the mental fortitude and their perseverance to be able to kind of stay with it, especially after losing the first game and to bounce right back. I mean, that's just textbook. Like you could teach so much from that moment, man. But like speaking of League, we have another game out of that client that you and I spend a lot of time on. Team Fight Tactics. I don't know if there's any fans in the house of TFT, but what an interesting moment that we're at in the set as far as meta goes.
I don't want to talk about it.
I mean, obviously, Dragons reign supreme this set, right? If you can find a way to get that Dragon 4, Dragon 5, I mean, you've basically won the game, especially once you 2-star everything and if you have the right items.
Yeah.
It's just insane how heavy the builds are, or how OP the build is as well. Not to mention at the beginning of the set, how Dragonmancers were so broken.
Oh yeah,
as well. I mean, you threw a Dragonmancer emblem on Nunu and gave him BT and Hodge, and it was over. Like done. Like you didn't even have to 3-star. Unstoppable. You didn't even have to 3-star. You could 2-star him, and you'd be done.
Yeah.
Especially if you managed to get like Dragonmancer 8. Oh my God. I think there was one game at the beginning of the set where I had Dragonmancer 8 and like his health pool like tripled. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Oh. What is where did you get your start with TFT? Obviously I just started kind of last set.
I think it was, I mean, I played League quite a bit for a good period of time, and then I don't know if it was like someone I played League with, or if it was just I noticed it on the menus and like, oh, what's that? I'm gonna try that because you know, I'd played like just the regular like unrated league for a while, and then I was like, oh, I'll try ARAM and I'll try competitive, and so I was just branching out, and it was one of those. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's different. You know, I like card games. I like, you know, those chess kind of strategy games. So yeah, it just kind of was something. I think for a while it was just something that was just like on the side, like when I was trying to burn time, when I was like in between, because I had gotten the TFT like app on my tablet, and it's like, you know, if I'm in between classes at school, you know, I'll play a game or two of TFT.
I have it on my iPad as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I don't like is how like sometimes it can be slow. Like you're like tapping and then like it's like just kind of barely moving, and you're like, come on,
as it is on PC.
Especially like if you're fighting for an item at carousel and you're like, come on. or like you're trying to click on the screen and then like the shot, because it refreshes from the top, and then you accidentally select somebody and like your econ's ruined and you're like, crap. So what set did you start with, or can you remember?
Oh man, we're on what, 6.5 now, 7.5?
7.5. Yep.
7.5. Probably like 4 or 5.
Okay.
So, but I think I skipped like a season or two, because I had mostly just like went straight League for a hot minute, and I hadn't played TFT for a bit, but yeah, definitely hanging out with like you and Drew, definitely got back into it. Like now I don't play League at all.
And I think I hate to say it, but I think I'm probably to blame for that, just because I've gotten so addicted to it. So like anytime there's like downtime, I'm like, GFG question mark.
But well, it's one of those things that like, even like you can adjust to like how long you want to play. Like you can either play a full game and try to rank up, or you can hyper roll, you know?
Yeah. And then even the double up is a nice kind of set, because like if you're just tired, like if you got a friend on, you don't want to rank or anything like that, and that's an interesting dynamic. And I feel like a lot of people don't take it as serious though. I heard Box talk about this as well, and why he doesn't play it is because, and he said like the being high rank doesn't matter, but the fact that a lot of people don't take it seriously, and then he just can't do it that way. Whereas like you and I mean, we get on and we run over people sometimes.
Yep.
We've had at least one or two Mr. 100s, and then I saw you and Drew had one the other day as well when I popped in, and then I felt like I stole like everyone's luck.
You really did. We were on like a 2 or 3 win streak, and all of a sudden we just tanked.
I'm sorry, but dude, that board.
It is one of those games, though. I feel like the vibe while playing it can be drastically different. Like you can be screwing around, just chilling, or you can be like really focused in and be like getting upset.
Yeah, or like if you're getting lucky, you're hitting, you're high rolling, and everything like that, dude. It's like it's some of the most fun you can have, because and I was talking to Tricky about this probably a week ago when we were just kind of driving down the road. I was like, it's kind of like gambling. It really is. It hits that kind of dopamine center when you hit and you get like your 3-star and you're like, oh, I did it, you know, and it keeps you coming back, because then you're like, oh, I'm on this streak. I'm going to hit Dragon 6 next game. And then you get like 4 people running your exact build. You can't hit anything. Your economy's in shambles. You got terrible augments. And then you're just mad. You rage at the game. You're like, ah. I hate to say it, but I feel like it's like gambling.
What was it? Before this next half season, there's that that clip from where I don't usually like I'll get upset, really, come on. It was some Cannoneer or something. I was getting really pissed about
the Nomsy. But no, what was it? It was
I know, so it was something Cannoneer,
like Rage Wing Cannoneer or something like that. Or no, I remember it. Right,
where I threatened to DDoS.
Yeah,
that moment.
Like Trainer, that's what it was.
Trainer Cannoneer,
because it was like what, Tom Kench. Who were all the trainers?
Tristana,
Heimerdinger, not Tom Kench,
Yeah.
but he was Rebel Cannoneer. That's
Rebel
what it was.
Cannoneer.
Oh my
Yep.
God, dude! And then if you threw in
everyone ran it.
yeah, and like
so annoying.
that's like this season's. Well, I guess Dragonmancer at the beginning, but now what we're seeing is a lot of Swift Shot.
A lot of Swift Shot, Guardian Swift Shot, a lot of Astral Mage.
Oh, dude.
And there's a lot of Dragon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, like if you hit Dragon, you're top 4, 100%. There is no, and then like Guild. Guild's another one. I mean, I rode Guild all the way to Gold this season, and I'm not afraid. Yeah. I'm not afraid to admit it. I played Guild constantly. I forced it, and it got me top 4s, but I'm in Gold. So
yeah, I feel like anytime I try to force something, I just stop hitting.
Yeah,
like it just stops giving me what I need.
But it's one of those things, like even with like a 1-star Deja, if you've got the items, the only thing that can really kind of hurt you is if you don't get the right items. So if you get a lot of tank items, you don't get a lot of AP or AD items to put on like Deja and Braum. I think I think Braum's a part of that build. No, Jace. Like if you don't get items to put on Jace, you don't get put items to put on Deja, then that build kind of slows down a little bit. But even then, Deja is such a strong kind of mid-tier dragon, and that'll get you a top 4 100% unless someone's just got a crazy build. But yeah. Well, now what is if you had to pick one? What's like one of your favorite besides Shimmer Scale? One of your favorite Cavalier. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. You've been playing a lot of Cavalier, even though I
love Cavalier.
Despised that build the other day, but I just kept getting tank items. That's my fault.
It's because it's my build. You can't use my build. They like me.
This is true. And besides Aatrox, dude, Shimmer Scale is so well. Honestly, I want to say it was more last season. Shimmer Scale was so rewarding when you hit.
Oh
yeah. Once you get that crown of champions and you just start deleting units,
nearly nothing the other person could do.
But like even now, you'll hit 9, or you'll hit crown of champions, and then Dragon 4 is just too powerful.
Yep.
So, and I imagine that'll get nerfed probably here in the next patch.
Probably.
And then the next set, which we got like a month until the next set, I think.
I think there's like 32 days left in the battle pass, so that makes sense.
Gotcha. And we're excited. I know it's always a frustrating time when a new set comes out because now I have to relearn.
Oh, I love it.
Like builds.
Because I don't use the TF tactics. I think where I enjoy it most is like understanding like what I personally like to build, what makes me feel good building it, and what I feel most comfortable with. So I love when there's a new set because no one has like these preset things of what to do.
Yeah, and again, there's still like every now and then you can kind of find builds that kind of work. Like nothing that's like NT attack. Like last night, the Dragonmancer Assassin was like something that I hadn't really. I just happened to see it. I had like a Diana, and I was like,
try it.
Yeah, I'll try it. Whatever. And then it turned out to be broken.
It is really annoying.
Oh my goodness.
I think I had nightmares about that.
I don't want to hear it. Because I have nightmares about Lilia just kind of sitting in the back, just whop, and I'm like, stop it! Just leave me alone.
You like that feeling of dread as they like rear back to slam down. No.
Oh man. Well, I think we are getting pretty close here, sir, to kind of wrapping things up. It's amazing how fast this hour went by. I swear. Yeah. Like the very first episode, I was watching the clock, but I think that's because I was trying to. I was still getting used to the flow and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then nowadays, man, I just hit record and just talk. And I feel like that's a little bit more organic as well for the viewer. It's not so like I'm not reading from like a script like welcome to the Valkyrie podcast. So first question. So and it makes me a better kind of host and everything like that. Yeah. So but as we wrap everything up, obviously, dude, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about your product as far as your graphics or just kind of just more about you as well?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Kieebeats. You can, I think it's called, I don't know, because there's a weird transfer thing. I think it's a Behance. I have what's it called? One of those. Just look up Kieebeats. You'll find pretty much everything I have on there. No one else has that name. Kieebeats. So that'll pretty much get you anything that I have.
Gotcha. Yeah. So are you currently taking commissions?
I am not right now.
Okay.
But in the next around springtime, I'll probably start getting that going again.
Gotcha. Well, again, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to kind of watching this episode back, especially because like the whole middle, once we started talking about D&D, it just took off.
Yeah, it blew up. It went completely derailed, and I worry. Hopefully, we didn't like set ourselves up for failure. We talked about D&D, we talked about TFT, League of Legends, all those things that like people, it's usually passed over. So hopefully, you know, we get some people that are interested in it.
Well, it brings, you know, spice. You know, it brings another flavor.
A little something different.
But that'll do it for us here at the Valkyrie Podcast. Thank you guys again for enjoying and listening here. You guys can find it on Spotify or YouTube, either one. And even with Spotify now, you can actually watch the video instead of just listen to the audio as well. So make sure you guys follow us here. Give us a like on YouTube if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment as well. What is one of your... I'll leave a question for the commenters here. What is one of your favorite builds if you play TFT? Or if, let's say, if you don't play TFT, what is one of your favorite games from your pastime as well? We'll leave it at that. Let's see what kind of comments we can get. I'm interested. So, but make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. Follow us on all of our social medias as well at Valkyrie LLC, I believe is the @, for most things that you can find. Or just look up Valkyrie. The logo is very, very
prominent.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pass that up, right? Yeah, so follow us on that. Follow us on Twitch as well. On YouTube, we're probably going to be getting ready to drop some very interesting content coming up. We're having a lot of ideas and staff meetings and stuff like that, so I'm excited for that. And join us for the next one when it drops out. My name's been Angel of Battle 07, your host, and we'll see each and every single one of you in the next one.